Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show's about to begin. Jake, let's put on a show.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets with me, your host, Silvia Eldawi, where we peel back the curtain and take a look at some of the movers and shakers in the real estate industry. And what would Dubai real estate be without leasing?
I thought you were going to say without Jake.
And Jake.
What would real estate be without Jake? Without leasing, yeah, very important.
It's like the ugly stepsister of...
Me, the ugly stepsister,
No,
or leasing? I thought you was a leasing queen.
I was a leasing queen. I'm
Okay.
like retired now.
Okay.
But yeah, I did leasing. I actually started my career in leasing.
Mm-hmm.
And
The best way.
well, it was down to literally the choice between the sales manager and the leasing manager because I was interviewed by both. We're
Okay.
going back to the early 2000s here.
Oof.
2001.
I was a baby.
Yeah,
I was 3 years old in 2001.
right. So when you were 3 years old, I was interviewing for a sales role or a
Mhm.
leasing role.
Okay.
And I went for the leasing role purely because the leasing manager had a bit more vibe to her than
Mhm.
the sales manager did, which is apparent now that there's a little bit more of a vibe when it comes to heads of leasings.
Maybe it was just her and me. Because there's many of us in the market that are very dry.
Yeah, true. Okay, so let's have an exciting conversation about leasing with
Mhm.
the head of leasing
Yeah.
at Engel Völkers, which is definitely a vibe, I can say. I've had
It's going to be a vibe.
so, Jake.
Yeah. You lost your train of thought already.
I'm just- this
It's
is
going
not how
well.
my- this
Take
is not
two,
how my
wherever the camera
intros-
is.
Yeah, this is not how my intros usually go. But yeah, so just to get into it, Jake Fletcher is the head of residential leasing at Engel Völkers, leads one of the vibiest, happiest, hungriest leasing
Definitely.
teams. And I want to ask you, in such a market where a lot of agents are making a lot of money
hmm
in sales, forgotten all about leasing,
Yeah.
how do you pitch leasing to a newbie or a new entrant into the market?
I think it's honestly easier than what people think.
Mhm.
Everybody wants sales. I wanted sales. That was what I came here for. As soon as I started, I was like, oh, leasing, really? And then I remember having the conversation with my manager, and it makes sense because leasing is the foundation stage of real estate.
Mm.
Imagine how embarrassing it is. And I get it all the time when sales agents come over to me and they're like, oh, Jake, I've just sold this multi-million dirham apartment.
Yeah.
How do I rent it? And I'm
Mm.
like, how do you not understand? Like, you think you can sell an apartment,
Yeah.
but you don't know the basics of renting it. So for me, it's not even convincing the candidates. It's
Mhm.
just educating them on why it is better to start off in leasing because
Mhm.
you're gonna learn the market. You're gonna make a huge network because the volume of transactions are so much more
Yeah.
in leasing than they are in sales. In
Mhm.
sales, you can sit there twiddling your thumbs and la la la. Leasing, especially in my team, it's go go go,
All the time, yeah.
and it is just expanding their knowledge, expanding their network, and it makes them a better sales agent
Mm.
because tenants turn into buyers. So
Absolutely.
if you can get a really big network of your tenants that you've transacted with,
Mhm.
if you've done a good job, and if being the main word in that, they're going to come back to you 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, however long until it is that they're looking at
Yeah.
buying, and that's just going to feed your network.
I used to call it the 4D client. So it's actually beyond just being your tenant of today is your
Mhm.
buyer tomorrow. Take it 2 further steps is going to be your seller of the day after.
100%.
And, buyer and so on. And many of the top agents that I've interviewed obviously always started in leasing,
hmm
but their main clients, like when you're in sales, I think people have this misconception that you're just dealing with new people and you're
Mhm.
selling and you know how to sell. No, it's actually those top agents probably have like 5 clients
Yeah.
that they deal with, and that is it. And they just keep buying and selling.
And it's true. Like
on
I
behalf
had
of
when
them.
I first started, one of my first deals, I rented a 2-bed to a British couple,
Mhm.
and then a year later they wanted to buy. But you need to plant the seed from the beginning. So
Mhm.
I was always thinking, you're my client today, but how am I going to make money from you tomorrow?
Right.
So planted the seed from the beginning of, are you renting now?
Mhm.
Are you looking at buying? What's your plans? And then a year later we bought, a 2-bedroom in the same building because they fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Fast forward a year later, she's up the duff. They're moving back to the UK.
Up the duff is code for
Up the
pregnant.
duff is pregnant for pregnant. Yeah, it's pregnant anywhere else in the world. They were expecting, so they moved back to the UK. So then I was re-renting that place out, and then they wanted to invest in off-plan and things like that.
Right.
So that one tenant that came in from a little 2-bedroom apartment in the Views has turned out to making me quite a lot of money. And each year as well, every time we're doing the renewal or we're doing a new tenant, I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah. But it's a shame that most agents will start in leasing and they'll have like a deadline or a timer on that career. And as quickly as they can, they'll move into sales and forget all about leasing.
Oh, I get it all the time. I've had agents that will do 2 weeks in leasing, or they'll do half a deal. I class half a deal as when they're dealing with a split.
Yeah.
So they're either dealing with the landlord or they're dealing with the tenant. And they'll come to me and they'll be like, Jake, can I have a chat?
I'm ready for sales.
And I know exactly what it's going to be. I just sit there and I'm like, oh, here we go again. And it's important to them. So you have to try and pretend that you care and listen to them, and they're giving you this big speech, they're building up to it, you can see they're nervous, and I'm just sitting there waiting for them to say I'm ready for sales. And it's hard not to laugh sometimes, because I'm like, bless you my child, like you've done half a deal, you think you're ready for sales. And I've had so many agents in the past. I've done this job for 5 years, so I have seen so many agents come and go, and I've had conversations with people and said, you're not ready for sales. I can't put my name on the line, because the way it works is I will say that someone is ready for sales. I will then go and pitch that to the department manager for the sales team. It's my reputation that I'm then saying, oh, this agent's great. If I go with an agent that's done half a deal, it's really not going to look very good. And I've had agents that have left in the past, and they have contacted me 6 months, 9 months later saying, Jake, you were right. Sales is ready. I wasn't ready. Sales is a lot harder. I've still not closed the deal. And I'm like, and if you spent 6-9 months more in leasing, how much more money you could have made, how much bigger your network could have been, and how you would have started closing sales deals straight away. So it is honestly fundamental that people start in leasing, especially if you've not got experience. If you've got Dubai-based experience, if you've lived in Dubai for a long time, if you're a little bit of a maturer person, maybe you've got the financial backing to go directly into sales. If you haven't, if you're a little bit younger, you're hungry, you're driven, leasing is 100% the best place to start.
And for us as leasing leaders, I'm retired now, but I always felt like, you've got foster children, you've got adoptive children, you've got your own biological children. I always felt like the foster parent, like you're only with me temporarily until you find your forever home. So it's a bit tough on...
It can be tough because the way I look at it is, this is going to sound really bad, I'm training the future of the real estate agents. So I take great pride in seeing the agents doing amazing when they move into sales. I've had agents that have come through that have now set up their own businesses. I've got agents that are sales managers in prestige locations, and it's nice to see. That is rewarding. And it's super rewarding to see, because it's like you came, and I remember sitting with you. You couldn't do the calls, and we sat there. We was going backwards and forwards with how you all the role play, and it's nice to see how far people come as well. But then you see a lot of people, it's real estate, that can't hack it, and they do go home because they think it's a holiday and not the graph that you need to put in.
And for those listening that aren't watching, you can watch this episode on YouTube and
better to
Spotify.
Watch it when you can see it. 100%, literally.
A. B, you may think that Jake is like in his 30s or 40s, but actually you're only 26.
I'm 26.
So how have you got to the head of residential leasing?
I think I'm 26. I found grey hairs recently, but I literally plucked one out last night. Just side note completely here.
You're not supposed to pluck them because 7 more will come to their 4. Funeral.
Well, my thing is, I've been noticing a few grey hairs recently, and I thought it was just stress. But when I plucked it out, the tip was grey, but the root was brown again. When I researched it, I asked ChatGPT, obviously, because my whole life is based on that these days. And it says that now I'm no longer stressed, the pigment has returned. So I'm hoping that is. But yes, I am only 26.
Why are you no longer stressed?
We've recently set up our 3rd leasing team, which is always a stress. When I moved to Engel Völkers, there was no leasing team whatsoever. It was just sales teams. So my task, if you like, when I went over there was to create the leasing department. And for me, that's super exciting because I knew leasing, the ins and outs of it, and I could set it up as my own baby with what I know works and what doesn't work. But it is tough when you set up a new department and to make sure that it's profitable, especially for such a big global brand. All eyes are on a new department of, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? So it is stressful, but I wouldn't have it any other way because I love and live for the drama and the day-to-day hustle that comes with it.
Okay, so how did you get into it? Tell us your backstory.
The thing that I always say to people not to do, I watched Selling Sunset and I decided that I wanted to do real estate. So I come from travel. So I always hated the UK, was never a fan of it. The weather, the people, you name it, I hated it.
Well, because you were from Leicester.
Yeah. I mean, outside of Leicester, I actually live in a little town called Hinckley, which is a little bit better, but nobody knows it. But Leicester is the closest city. And yeah, Leicester is Leicester. If you've ever been, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So as soon as I was 18, I went and worked for TUI, which is a holiday company overseas. I was a rep, selling water park tickets, mountain excursions, bar crawls, all of that. And that honestly shaped me to who I am today, I think, because I left home at such a young age. Most people are going to university. I dropped out of school at 15. I have 0 qualifications against my name at all.
Welcome to the industry.
Literally. And I just learned life from doing life. And I honestly think it shaped me to how I am today because I learned so much from a young age. I had to do my washing. I had to do my ironing, all of the kind of stuff that my mum used to do everything for me. And then after I was a rep, I went back to the UK because of COVID. That brought me back to the UK and I was sat at home.
Wait, where were you?
I was in Tenerife
at
the time. So I was always based in Spain, Canaries and Balearics. And then went home, started dealing with all the people that had their holidays cancelled because it was everyone. It was a lot. It was my fault. Every time I got a phone call, you're not processing my refund. And it was like, because I'm in control of the accounts of TUI, another German global company. Apparently I like the Germans.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. And then I was sitting in my dressing gown, watching Selling Sunset, and I was like, you know what? That's
a bit of me.
This is a bit of me. The glitz, the glamour, the drama here and there. So I looked to do it in the UK. And this was my initial thought was I'll stay in the UK now. I've been abroad. Let's, be with family, friends, la, la, la. And then I seen the advert for Dubai. And I always thought Dubai was a big fake place. You see it on Instagram. You see all of the Botox and things like that. Which
excess.
And I'm very real. So for me, it was never somewhere that I was appealed to. And I thought, I'll apply. I'm not going to get it because it's Dubai. It's this big hyped up place. And then when I had the interview, I was like, I could be onto something here. Like I could actually get in to do this. And then 3 months later, I landed in Dubai. Stayed in a hotel off Deira Islands. So my airport journey was from the airport through Deira.
It sounds luxurious.
Honestly, I landed and I was like, this doesn't look like
the Dubai
what Instagram sees. And I was driving through Deira thinking, I literally messaged my mum when I got to the hotel saying, I think I've made a mistake. And she was like, why? And I said, it just doesn't look. It looks more like Leicester than it does Dubai. And then as soon as I started training, fell in love with it and was a leasing agent, did that for about a year, went into sales, but I missed the leasing aspect. I missed the helping people out because I was always in a team leader role in my previous jobs. So for me, it was just nurturing and growing them. So I started doing the job before I even got the job. And Dan was my boss at the time as well. And I said, I'm doing it, so you may as well pay me. And then it kind of just progressed from there and got me to where I am now.
The head of leasing.
Head of leasing at Engel Völkers.
Okay. So you recently posted a LinkedIn post about here's what you can expect to earn.
Yes.
Because people think, oh, let me go straight into sales because I can make big money there. You can. Whilst you can, it might be spaced out, for example. You might close
spaced out and doesn't always happen. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be sitting here now because we would be out closing these massive deals that apparently happen every single day.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me cringe on people's Instagram is when they're like, I'm just doing a viewing in this. I've just sold it. And I'm like, have you really?
Yeah.
Like, let's check the transactions and see because I guarantee it's not.
So don't believe everything you see.
Yeah, 100%.
Funny that. Everything that you see online might not be real. But ChatGPT we can depend on.
My life, literally my life. I just said to you then, I'm having an issue with the car AC.
Yeah.
That's diagnosed it. I'm arguing with the mechanics because they're telling me what's wrong with it. And I'm like, well, no, this is what's wrong with it. And they're like, where are you getting this from? And I'm like, ChatGPT has diagnosed the problem for me. But yeah, I live my life on that.
Back to earnings. What can a newbie agent expect to earn? Half decent.
A half decent. I mean, you should close a deal in your first month, especially in leasing. This is leasing we're talking about, not sales. Let's just clear that one up. I would say around 5,000 dirhams in your first month as an average. Now, some people come in and they
take
close
home or commission.
Commission depends on the size of the deal. So some agents come in and they've closed the deal in their first week. There's a little bit of luck involved, I think, with that. But some people it takes 3 weeks. Some people it takes 5 weeks. So as an average, I would always say 5 grand in your first 4 weeks is what you should expect to be achieving. From month 2, that should double, and you should be looking more around the 10,000 dirhams kind of amount that you're taking home, just because you're going to get more listings, you're building more attraction up. From month 3 onwards, you should be hitting your target, which with me is 40,000 dirhams gross. So that's like 20,000 dirhams net into your pocket. So many people can achieve over that though, and this is what people don't seem to get in their head, is that they think that it's capped. Especially for me in leasing, we hire a lot of overseas candidates. So they're used to tax. They're used to basic salaries. And these are some of the challenges that we come across. But it is uncapped, tax-free. And that is the biggest part where you can earn your money.
And do you start them off with some Engel Völkers supply of listings, or they have to go out and get their own listings?
Get their own. Okay. I think throwing people in at the deep end is the best way for them to learn. We will provide them all the tools, the information, the data, any warm leads that we have. But for me, it's fundamental from the beginning that you realize this is not something that's going to get handed to you on a plate. I don't want to teach you bad habits from the start of, here you go, have everything. Your life's going to be easy, because it really isn't easy. It is a difficult job. So I think teaching them that from the beginning is important.
And are you a true champion of everyone should be a specialist in a particular area, or a community specialist?
1,000,000%. Okay. Absolutely. I see agents dotted all around Dubai doing different things.
Bit of downtown, bit
of marina, bit of palm, wherever it wants to take them. It doesn't work, because when you're working in one area, and this for me was another example that I had. I was given JBR as my area. I didn't get a choice in the area that I had, and I hated it. It was just concrete jungle, very busy, didn't like the apartments. I didn't feel it. And you have to sell the area to your tenants. You have to be able to passionately talk about, oh, you've got amazing places down here, here. And that passion really comes through, because in any sales job, people buy people. And if those clients are not going to buy into you at the beginning, you may as well just quit what you're doing right now. But for me, I got a listing by accident in the Views. I went there the first time and fell in love with it.
The greens,
the views, yep. More the views, the higher rise, newer, more modern, prettier buildings. But
Onyx is...
Onyx, that is classed as greens. Okay. But when people talk about greens, they talk about the low rise, 25-year-old buildings. I'm talking about the higher rise ones on the golf course, gorgeous skyline sunset views or canal views. It's a nice little mix. Okay. But for me, I only ever transacted in those buildings, and I've learned everything about them. And when landlords used to quiz me, I would love it, because owners get called all the time. We know this. So a lot of owners sometimes will try and trip you up and ask you questions about their unit. And I could confidently go in and say, your unit is this size, it's facing this, la la la.
It's a type D or C.
Exactly, all of that. And honestly, it helps from acquiring the listings initially, because you're giving the owner confidence in you as an agent that you know what you're talking about, which when there's 30,000 real estate agents in Dubai, it's very few that actually know what they're talking about. So from a landlord side, that will help you out massively. From a tenant side, it helps in terms of the qualification, because when they're saying to you, I want a 2-bed, it needs to be this size, it needs a maid's room, la la la. Directly in my head, I'm thinking, this layout in this building, this layout in this building.
You know your stuff.
And you just save so much time, rather than wasting time doing viewings just to say to your manager, I'm out doing viewings and try and look good. What looks good is bringing the money in and closing the deals. So for me, 1,000,000%, you have to be an area specialist, know your area, know the market, what's rented, what's sold, all of the above. You have to be a specialist.
And you said you've got this kind of radar, or it sounds like you've got a radar for knowing when they're ready to transition into sales.
I was wondering what radar you was going to talk about. Then I was going to be like, what show is this? Yes, you can tell.
The progression
The
radar.
progression radar. 100%. I mean, I think you can, when somebody's getting to that point where they're doing really, really well, sometimes they start losing that little bit of motivation.
Mhm.
And I'm the same. If I've not got my next step, I start getting bored. I get complacent. And I think people that are really hungry and they really want to succeed, they want to know what their next step is.
Mhm.
So usually around that kind of 6-month mark is when I would be sitting with them and saying, you know, what is your plan? Where do you
Mhm.
see yourself in 6 months' time? Because for me, this is their business. Yes, they work with Engel Völkers. Yes, it's all under this big corporate brand. But at the end of the day, the agents have their own businesses.
Mm.
And I'm there to support them, help them with the growth. And I don't want to stop them
Hold
growing
them
if
back.
100%. So if they're ready, like I will help you get to where you need to be to get you ready.
Mhm.
So at 6 months is when we'll have that conversation. And I can kind of gauge from there if they're loving leasing, which
Mhm.
surprisingly a lot of people do. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just the team that we have at Engel Völkers or the fact that they enjoy the money that they're making. I
Mhm.
don't know what it is. Probably a mix of all of it.
Mhm.
But it's quite easy to tell when someone's ready to go. And sometimes I ask them and they're like, no, I'm quite happy in leasing. I want to get more money behind me because
Mhm.
they have seen why it's so important to do leasing
Mm.
and not just for a couple of months and think you're ready to go into
Yeah.
sales and tackle the big wide
Yeah.
world.
And there's nothing to stop you from being a sales agent who still does leasing. Like if you want to...
Yeah, I don't
No?
recommend it.
Why?
Purely because you're having your head in too many pies,
Mhm.
if we can say that
Yeah.
in a professional way. It just, if you're focusing on too many things,
Mhm.
it's not great. Be a specialist, like we said about area specialist. Be a specialist in the department that you're working in.
Yeah.
If you're focusing on leasing, put your full concentration into leasing. If you're focusing fully on sales, put your concentration into sales
Mm.
so that you can be closing more deals rather than messing around, doing different things, running around.
Yeah, but what if it's just more a case of we're putting our focus into helping people move, whether they want to rent or buy? I can do it all.
I think the market is big, right?
Mm.
So being that real specialist of knowing everything about the rental, everything about the sale and the transactions is tough. Even the brightest people like me and you, I think would struggle with that. So asking a lot of people to try and do both,
Yeah.
from experience of seeing it in my old company and at Engel Völkers,
It's a challenge.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And agents make more money and they're more successful when they focus on one thing. And again, I get it asked a lot. Oh, Jake, I've got this landlord. He only wants to work with me. Met him a week ago, but he wants to sell it.
Yeah.
Great. We refer it over. Likewise, if sales get a lease in, they have to refer it to us because you are the best person to deal with leasing and they are the best person to deal with the sales side.
And that's usually when they decide they're ready to make that switch, is when they've got a really good listing that they don't want to give away to anybody else.
100%. But a lot of the time they will never sell because everyone's open to selling, right? And this is one of the hardest things that we have in leasing is that the agents are making more calls than any department.
Yeah.
Everybody's open to sell. You call me today and say, do I want to sell my phone? Sure, I'll sell my phone.
For the right price.
You ask me what price I want and I'm going to tell you 10 grand because to me it has a...
What phone have you got?
I mean, iPhone 15, whatever, but I've got an emotional attachment to it, right? Whereas you as the expert in phones know that it's probably worth 2 grand. So the agents get hyped up on, oh my God, I've got this super sexy list and he wants to sell it. And they give me the price. I can't help but smile because I'm like, it's adorable. Like we can't even refer, literally it's cute because we were not even going to refer this. All we're going to do is waste time sending an email, which could be 2 calls that could get you a few listings.
Yeah.
We're going to waste the time of the sales agents looking at it. And I really want our departments to work super well together. So when the sales agents receive a referral from my team, I want them to be excited. I want them to be like, yes, it's a really good referral. Not, oh, here we go again. Yeah. So for me, it's really important that we train the agents from the beginning as well of when is it a good time to send a referral and what is a good referral, not just sending it willy-nilly, if you like.
And let's talk about referrals or referring into the business, because I'm always intrigued by the careers or professions that people step from into real estate or into leasing. And I've got my opinions, but what have
Okay.
you seen, or who have you seen transition into leasing that's actually done really well,
I
career
think
wise?
any kind of sales background helps.
Hmm.
So a lot of your UK candidates, for example, your car sales, your door-to-door sales of your windows
Windows,
that
yeah,
wake you up at 8 o'clock on a
yeah.
Saturday morning, these do well because they understand the sales kind of aspect.
Hmm.
I don't really look at CVs because, I mean, let's be real, ChatGPT makes them these days
Yeah.
anyway. We don't do anything like that for
Mm.
ourselves. But I go based on personality a lot of the time. When I'm doing interviews, for me, it's about the person. If you seem personable,
Hmm.
I can teach you real estate. That's
Yeah.
what my job is. I can tell you what to do and teach you the tricks of the trade.
Hmm.
I can't teach you to have a personality.
Hmm.
So for me, the biggest thing is their personality. If they've got some kind of sales background, then amazing. I always find that, and I don't know if it's just me being biased, that people that come from the travel industry make great agents
Hmm.
purely because of how resilient that you have to be.
Hmm.
I
And
mean,
attention to
there was
detail.
so many a few years ago, Emirates cabin crew
Hmm.
that came into the market,
Yeah,
and so many of them are now the best agents
it's
in
true.
Dubai.
Yeah.
And I think it is down to travel companies have such strict training that you go through so
Yeah.
that you
On
kind of
customer service.
on customer service, on everything. And it's so like militant that you are just structured. And that is what it takes to be a successful agent. You can't just be floating around, brushing your hair, thinking that a deal is going to land in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have that consistency. And I think travel companies, because they're so big and people spend so much money with them, you expect that level of service,
Yeah.
right? And people transition that skill across.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't been through any cycles yet, bless you. Property cycles, shall we say. But there is the ups and the downs. And leasing always is consistent.
Yep.
So it is one of those other, points to note, that it is one of those careers. There's always going to need to be leasing agents.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people looking to rent out their property, or investors. And there's always going to be tenants needing to live somewhere. So it's very stable, consistent, and well paid for those that do well.
It can be very well paid. Like, and again, the tax-free element is my favorite thing. When I was an agent, looking at the board, seeing the numbers, and just knowing that's in my pocket. Like, there's no deductions,
Yeah.
there's no tax, there's no national, none of that is coming out of it. It's just all mine. That is for me the most exciting thing about Dubai. Paired with the safety, these are the two best things, I think, in my opinion, that Dubai offers anybody who wants to succeed and do well in life.
Come to Dubai.
Come to Dubai, Habibi. Literally, Habibi, come to Dubai.
Right, let's do some landlord-tenant hacks and myths and stuff like that.
Let's go.
So let's talk about landlords, how we can help them. So what's the biggest myth you want to bust when it comes to landlords leasing out their property?
Yeah, they want one check.
Okay, so why should we bust that myth? Because let's be honest, if I was a landlord, I'd prefer to have one check.
You know what?
Too.
I would always think I would want one check, but those
You'd spend it quickly, wouldn't you?
I would spend it quickly. I'd spend it before it came in. It's like a deal. You spend your commission before it's agreed. You've done a good viewing one day, and then it's like, great, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, la la la. But no, I think landlords always saying that they want one check because it gives them more stability and that kind of thing. Yes, to a sense, it's true. But these are the clients that tend to give you more of a headache because at any given opportunity, they want to remind you, I've paid all this money up front. I expect this, and they expect the world. So I think landlords need to be a bit more flexible. People that have owned here for a very long time, these are the ones that are stuck on the one checks. The more kind of newer investors into the market, let's say, because nowhere else in the world makes you pay in one check. A lot of places you pay monthly. So the fact that they can get it in 2 payments or even 4 payments, they're buzzing with. And that I think is a better way forward.
What should landlords be doing, but often aren't doing, to make their listings more attractive?
Oh, where to start? Clean. Simple thing. I mean, with listings, I'm always telling the agents, you need to take pride in your listings. And this is the thing that baffles my mind a lot in this market, is that owners expect it to be rented out when the last tenant that moved out have left it in an absolute state. And they're all like, yeah, when I get a tenant, then we'll clean, then we'll
Yeah,
paint,
yeah.
and all of this. I always say to the agents, you need to take pride in your listings and imagine it as if you was walking down a street. Let's say you've got 2 cake shops next to each other. One cake shop is beautiful. There's fresh strawberries. There's nice cream. It looks amazing. And then you've got another one next door offering the same thing, but that window display, the strawberries are a bit moldy, the cream is yellow, and the crumbs everywhere. You're going to go into the nice cake shop, aren't you? It's the same with your listings. The listings is your storefront. So you need to make sure that it looks good. So landlords need to get it cleaned, even if it's a soft clean. If the D was off, I get it. It's hard. You can't clean very well with water, but just get rid of all of the stuff. You can make it look better, spending very, very little money. And that actually helps you get it rented faster. Because if you walk into something that looks like a state, it's hard to see the vision. Whereas if you look at something that's a little bit better, it's okay, yeah, it just needs a bit of a clean. It's cool, it's good.
And it's not that it's going to add any value to the price or make it more expensive. It's just going to improve the rentability.
The amount of landlords that do think that it will increase it, though, it's like, if I'm going to get it painted and cleaned, I want an extra 5K. And I'm like,
doesn't work that way.
Where? How? Like, just...
No.
No, not happening. Not today, honey.
And I guess that's the one landlord hack that could save weeks in vacancy periods, or void periods, as we call them.
I think, yeah, in terms of avoiding the void period, having it clean, having it presentable, but also choosing the right agency. And this, I think, changed the sales market massively when the government changed the rules in terms of only being able to list it with 3 agents. That, I think, was a massive wake-up call, because people was no longer just giving it to every Tom, Dick and Harry that called. First. Literally, it was a case of, no, I need to choose the agency right. I need to make sure that they're going to market it well. I'm going to need to make sure that they're well connected. That is going to be coming into leasing very, very soon. And I think that's going to change the leasing market as well, because the standards will increase, and we need them to, because as a tenant, you go on Property Finder, you go on Bayou, and you're looking for listings, and it's so frustrating because there is so many ads on there that are duplicates, they're old, and owners still think the more I list with, the quicker I'm going to get it. But it slows the process down, because if you think of any supply and demand rule, again, another thing I always use, a bottle of water. If we go out into JLT now and try and buy a bottle of water, we can pick one up pretty cheap. You go to an airport, there's fewer places, it's more expensive. You're on the aeroplane in the air, and it's even more expensive. Why? Because you can't buy it anywhere else. So if you've got the same listing 5, 6, 25 times, sometimes I've seen, people are going to see it as there's so many options available, and it is going to devalue that property. If you're listing it with one solid agency that knows what they're doing, that you can see has a good marketing spend, you don't need to be listing with all these different agencies. And that is the thing that I always say to owners. And when you explain it, they understand. But it's just that stubborn landlord mindset of, I'll give it to everyone and it'll get rented quicker.
Time is of the essence.
No. And so many times I've had conversations where they've got it listed multiple times, and I've talked them around to the exclusivity, and we've got it rented straight away because it's a fresh ad, it looks good, it's not listed with everybody else, and they're so much happier.
And there's no confusion on price because one person's got it listed at a lower
the
price.
agent wars of the 69999 and then 69998. My agents are banned from this. If I ever see it, I literally slap them on the back of the head because I'm like, what is this? People will say, Jake, can I list at 67,500? And I'm like, no, like, what 67?
Why would you do that?
No, absolutely not. So always nice round numbers. We don't compete. If the other agents want to be cheap, just to get their listing one up higher when people do the low to price search, fine. But just make sure your ad looks so much better.
But actually, with that in mind, with the low to high price search, we always used to stick to a price that was on the drop down. So if you've got a range 50 to 60,000, for example, there's no point pricing at 55 because you're going to be in the middle of that search. So always price on the point. Because then you land up at, like, okay, let's say you've got a rental 50,000. Price it at 50,000 because then you're going to appear in the 40 to 50 range and the 50 to 60. If you price it in the middle of that range, you reduce your visibility.
I always say, for example, if we've got units that are 200,000 dirhams is what the asking price is.
Mm.
There's always that room for negotiation, right? And the owners will say, yeah, let's put it on for 200,000. I'll accept 190.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's put it on at 190 then.
Mhm.
Because then when we get the clients come in, which we're going to get so many more of, because if people are putting their max budget of 200,
Mhm.
you're going to be appearing at the very end.
Mm.
Number one, a 1 in front of it looks a lot more attractive than a 2 to
True.
begin with.
Yeah.
Even though it's 195 or 190, it looks so much better. But also, it gives you the power when you're, as an agent, speaking to the client and saying, this is the price. There is no negotiation.
Yeah.
If you set that from the beginning, I always do that. When an owner says to me, yeah, I'm happy with 190, but let's list at 200.
Mhm.
No. Let's list at 190. Let me do my job of explaining that this is the price. There is no negotiation. We're going to get so much more visibility because more people are going to see it, and it's going to get rented so much quicker.
You might even end up in a bidding war.
Exactly. I love that. We love a bidding war. I'm like an eBay seller in the middle of it, just like backwards and forwards going for it.
Bring me your firm and final.
Honestly, Property Finder do this thing called Spotlight.
Yeah.
And this is a bidding thing. So every Wednesday, you bid for the top spot of their listings.
Of that community.
Of that community, exactly. So it's so many credits per day that you're doing, and it's a commitment for 7 days. So it might start at like 20 credits per day. And then as it gets to Wednesday at 5:30, which is when the timer stops, you'll notice it go up to like 40, 50. And I'm literally just sat there reliving my eBay days of just adding one and clicking it, refreshing, adding one, clicking it. And I get so into it.
Which communities are you always bidding for?
I think the core communities. For Engel Völkers, we specialize in the core places, the affluent areas, the high ticket areas. We're more of a luxury agency. We don't want to be dealing with the smaller communities. We want the premium brand to be in the premium locations. So it's your Dubai Marina, the Palm, your Business Bay, your downtown. These are the kind of areas that we want to expand our market share in because it matches the brand. Okay.
And tenants, let's talk to tenants now. What do you wish tenants knew right now?
Set your expectations. Before you start inquiring and dreaming a lot of the time, sit down and think, what can I afford? Let's be real. And if I can afford 200,000, let's not inquire on units that are 350 and ask, is this negotiable? Because maybe it is, but not 150 grand negotiable. And do your own research, because a lot of the time they will be wanting this community, this community, this community, very different. Go and drive around these places, have a little look at them. If you've got kids, where's their school going to be? And if you're going to work, if you're living in Dubai but working in Abu Dhabi, maybe living up in Business Bay is not going to be the best idea for you. Maybe living a little bit more Dubai Marina Springs, that kind of area is going to be better. Do a bit of research and also get to know the local laws. I love it. My favorite line ever when speaking to a tenant, and I'm explaining the process because I have trust issues. For many things in life, there's trust issues there. So I explain it A to Z on the phone to them so that they can't come back with anything. And when I do that, the amount of times that I've heard, oh, well, in my country, that's not done like that and it's done like this. I'm like, honey, we're in Dubai. This is how it is. I respect that's how it is in your country. But you are not in your country now. So this is how it works. So
respect it,
yeah. And again, I think it's just finding the right agency again. For agencies that just hire for the sake of hiring rather than hiring for the sake of growing the team and you as an individual, that will give you that right training. You need to trust your agent and know that they're not just after the commission, which obviously there is always going to be that certain element of what we're here for, but that actually enjoy helping people and that they are confident in what it is that they're doing so that they can help their clients out properly.
And right now it's quite a competitive market. So would you say, is there anything that a tenant could be doing to improve their acceptance worthiness for when their offer's put forward to a landlord?
Speed. Purely, a lot of people will, I call it spotting offers. And tenants will go out on a viewing with you and they'll give you an offer. They'll come out with me, they'll give me an offer. And they're just kind of weighing it up, sitting back, waiting. And then when they come back to you and they're like, yeah, let's proceed. And it's like, no, that was a week. I rented that and they've moved in already since you give me that offer. If you really are wanting a place and you see something that you love, take it,
Mhm.
because the market is fast. Things move quick.
Yeah.
Good units move very, very fast. Bad units, yes, they will be on the market for quite a while. But for owners that are realizing that it's a competitive market and they're making little changes to their unit just to make it stand out, they do move quickly. And if you as a tenant love it, you need to be ready to go with that flow. And again, make sure that you're with an agency like Engel Völkers, where the agents will guide you through the process and help you out with it speedily, but also not stress you out and feel like you're being pushed into it.
Okay. And right now, I heard a stat that a lot of people are renewing. Big majority are renewing rather than moving
Yeah.
because rents have gone through the roof.
Literally.
What's going on? What's going on out there?
I think Dubai is forever growing, right? And the prices went down a lot a few years ago, and they
C
have
word.
the C word,
Yeah.
and they have climbed up dramatically. I am still, I hope my landlord's not watching this, paying the price
C-word
from
prices.
the C word, okay? And it is literally less than half the price of what the building is currently. So I'm not motivated to move because I'm paying that cheap price. And I think where the market has increased so much so quickly over the last few years, if somebody lives in a one bedroom in the marina, if they want to move into a different one bed in the marina, it's going to cost them a lot more. So yes, we are seeing a lot more of the renewals coming through. That being said, there is so much new stock coming to the market. There is thousands of units being handed over. There is thousands of people moving to Dubai. So yes, while there is a huge percentage of renewals, there is still a big percentage of new tenants in the market that are looking for that first home, second home, or whatever it might be.
And predictions when all these properties come on, well, they hand over and then they come on the market.
I think we will see a correction in certain areas. I think places like the marina, which is always a hot spot for people. When they first move here, they want the marina. They want to live in the marina, and that's it. That's all they want. But as the places start expanding kind of inland, as we're needing to, because we're running out of coastal that we can build on, these prices are a lot cheaper. We've got all of the new metros that are coming, which is going to make it a lot more accessible. You get a lot of you get a much bigger apartment for what you're paying. I think places like Marina will see that kind of squeeze and that slight adjustment purely because it won't be so in demand anymore. And if people can get double the size at half the price, they're going to start looking at doing that because rents are going up. I don't know about you, my salary isn't. So it's a difficult one people have got to make a decision on.
No, and it's, rents have gone up quite considerably. On renewal as well, rents are going up.
Yeah.
According to the Real Rental Index.
Of course, we had that changed this year as well, which was big.
Explain.
So before, there was different caps on the market. And because of how much it's gone up, the government kind of stepped in and used a new AI technology. So before, it would be a whole community specific.
Yeah.
So we're in
And that's the
JLT, let's
average.
use that.
Right.
In JLT, it would take all of the buildings, and you've got some not so great buildings versus things like MBL and stuff like that. Obviously, these ones rent a lot higher than them, and it would take it as an average for the whole area. Now it's an on-building specific. So it's better for the owners that have got the more higher end buildings because it's now based on that unit specifically rather than comparing all of the lower end towers. So it is better, and it is bringing prices back up towards the market. I've checked the rental index again. I'm really hoping my landlord's not watching because they could put it up quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, I hope my landlord's not watching either because I actually negotiated something which I think a lot of people, not that I want to kind of start.
Say it. Go on. Spill the tea.
Ask for, it's very common in the UK, and I know I keep comparing, but in the UK...
You're doing what every tenant does. In the UK, this is how it works. You're not in the UK anymore.
You sign a 1-year contract with a 6-month break clause, okay? So that gives you that flexibility to give notice and leave halfway through.
Yeah.
Here, you're committed to a year, fine. I feel once I've done my year, that's it. Yeah. Be flexible with me. So I always negotiate on renewal that I can leave without penalty by giving 2 months notice at any time. So I've done my year, and I typically stay places 3 years. I've rented 3 places and they've all been 3 years. And then after 3 years, I kind of get
fancy a change.
But I feel like this year, there's going to be a lot of supply coming on, brand new. I'm going to have a much wider selection of amenities. I think I'm going to need to consider moving again by the end of this year. But if I sign up for a whole nother year, I'm stuck till next October.
Yeah.
So I need that flexibility. So people should be requesting 2-month notice periods without penalty on renewal. I've done my 1 year.
And I think this is what a lot of people don't do, is that when it gets to that renewal, the tenants especially, they feel powerless. They feel as if they can't make any changes.
Yeah.
No, you can.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing it outside of those 90 days pre the contract expiring, any terms and conditions of that contract can change. So
Exactly.
I would 100% say to a tenant, look, what are your plans? Do you see yourself staying here for another year? Are you going to look at buying something? Because I'm already thinking about how I can make more money from them, or helping them out. Sorry, helping them out and getting better. But I've lost my trail of thought now because I just thought I should not have said that. 2 months notice, negotiating it, because you can negotiate with the owner. And if you think that maybe I'm not going to be committed to here for another year, but I don't want to pay the penalty, you feel like you're trapped in signing into it. So 100% say to the owner, look, I've been here for a year. I don't plan on leaving, because if you say I'm going to leave, then obviously they're not going to remove it. I don't plan on leaving, but just to give me a little bit more flexibility, can we change it to having just 2 months notice without having that penalty in there? Or if people are paying in less checks, can we do it in 4 checks? All of these things can be changed in the contract. And just because your landlord comes to you with a price increase doesn't mean that you have to go buy it. Yes, that's what RERA says that they can increase it to, but try and negotiate. The thing that I live my life by is if you don't ask, you don't get. And the worst that they're going to do is say no. And if they say yes, that's a couple of grand that you can go and spend on a vacay or whatever it is that you want to do.
So tenants, do not just think you're negotiating on price. You can negotiate the terms as well. Number of checks, penalty for early termination, or notice periods.
All of that. And I think what you said about amenities in buildings, the standard is getting insane in Dubai because the developers are all competing. It's not just Emar, Damak, Nakheel anymore that's in the market. There is so many new developers that are coming to the market and offering these insane amenities. We've got, little drop, our own exclusive projects that we're doing.
Go on, I'll let you have your
let's talk about it. Come on.
Shameless plug.
But we've got whole floors of amenities now seen in buildings where we've got big gyms that are like a paid membership kind of gym, not your typical 2 treadmills, a little multifunctional machine. They are full floors of amenities with Himalayan salt rooms, ice baths, lagoon pools, all of this kind of stuff. And buildings are getting a lot more competitive.
Podcast rooms.
Imagine. I mean, we've just had one exclusive, which is now sold out before launch. However, in there's VR rooms, there's relaxation rooms, things that you would never think to see in a building. They're becoming in them. So I think the developers are getting a lot more competitive and the prices are good. So if you're an investor or if you're a tenant looking to move in, why would I want to pay 120 grand for a 1-bed in the marina when I can go live in Al Jadaf, pay 80, 90k for a 1-bed
and have all these
amenities. And have all of these amenities, save on my gym membership, save on my office working space because there's a co-working space in the base, whatever it is. It just makes more sense.
And that's why you need a 2-month break clause.
And that's why you need your 2-month break clause.
Because time kills deals and you need to be able to move fast.
I say this 5 or 6 times a day. Time kills deals. Whenever my agents are saying, I've got an offer. Great, what's going on? Are they going to pay the deposit on the weekend? I know for a fact that deal's not going ahead. If that tenant is not paying that deposit straight away, they're not serious. And time kills deals.
There you go. Right, I want to hear some juicy leasing stories. Because it all happens in leasing.
Happens. Oh, God.
What's one that you'll never forget?
A story that I will never forget. I mean, from personal experience, I had the craziest tenants. So they were from LA. So they were very, oh my God, like the American thick accent that you can expect. And they were super cool. They were hippies. Don't know if they was together, just friends. Weren't quite sure on what the relationship was, to be honest. But we went and viewed an apartment in Emaar Beachfront. So Emaar Beachfront, the towers are all the same. The units from the ground to the 30th floor, they're identical in the same layout. And we walked into this one, super nice. The owner had furnished it. It was really nice, beautiful views of like Palm and the ocean. And I'd said to them at the end of the viewing, like, let's proceed and make an offer, as I always do. They was like, oh my God, we like need to take a couple of days, we need to see.
Your accent is terrible.
It's awful, isn't it? I should try that one again. But anyway, next day they messaged and said that they really wanted to go back and manifest.
Oh, okay.
So I was thinking this is just an American term for a second viewing. So I was like, yeah, sure. When do you want to go? And I was like, we need to go at midday when the sun is the highest point in the sky.
Right.
So again, I was thinking maybe they just want to see how bright it is, if there's too much sun in there, whatever it is. We got there, bearing in mind this is a brand new, fully furnished apartment, whips out the sage, starts saging the place down, literally walking around each room, doing all of this. And I'm stood there like, what am I meant to do? Like, this was going on for about 15 minutes. Security comes up. I open the door to security. I'm just there
Smell
like,
of sage.
literally, I'm opening the door, peeling round it. They're just stood there with what looks like a pitchfork of sage going on. They ended up taking it, but it was something that lives rent-free in my head.
Had they set off the fire alarm or something?
It didn't. I was expecting the fire alarm to go off, but it thankfully didn't. But literally walking around doing this. And then they said, this apartment was made for us. No other apartment is like this. And I was thinking, well, from ground to the 30th, they're all the same. But if it works, hun, we'll go with it. Let's do it. But it was very strange. That's the thing I love about working in Dubai real estate is the diversity of the people.
Yeah.
Because you've got people from every single walk of life that are living here. And you don't know what you're going into on a viewing because you've probably just had a 10-minute call with them. You've sent a few WhatsApps and then you arrive and meet them in person and you just get so many different personalities. Yeah. It's my favorite part of the job. It really is just dealing with so many different people and I'm super nosy.
Yeah.
So I really like to get to know my clients and I'm asking them what they had for dinner and all of this kind of stuff. But it also has its flaws because then they start trusting you, which is a good thing, but then they start coming to you with marriage advice. The amount of times that I've had the wives when they've broken up and they're telling me the whole story of it gets a lot.
Counselor.
But again, I'm here for the tea, so I like it.
You love a bit of tea.
I'm here for it.
And the other thing that I like about leasing is it's a commitment, but it's not that big a commitment. So
it is a commitment
in terms of the property.
Okay.
They're renting it.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
1 year, if it's not, doesn't have to tick all the boxes. But with sales, it's kind of like, it's serious. Yeah. This is a big chunk of my money going towards a big chunk of my wealth. It's a big deal. I can't get this wrong. So it's a bit of a lighter decision to make.
Yeah. I'm looking to buy at the minute and I am everything that agents hate in a buyer. It's me. I'm there on viewings, whipping out a tape measure, taking an hour of their time. Okay, I'm going to put the bed here, and then not even make an offer because I'm just shopping. That's all I'm doing at the minute is I'm just shopping at different units, having a look.
All agents are going to take a note
literally,
of this and be like,
remember my
Jake
face.
Fletcher,
it's fine.
He's just shopping.
But I will buy, but when I find the right thing, because it's a huge investment, especially in Dubai. It is expensive. I mean, for you, probably living in London, it's still cheap, right? For a little boy from Leicester, it is expensive. So I want to make sure that I'm taking that right decision. Whereas rental, it's only a year contract. The value, of course, isn't as high. And people still expect it to be like a palace. I mean, we rent 15-year-old buildings and they're complaining about a couple of chips in the wood. And I'm like, it's not new. If you want new... I need 50 grand more on the budget so that we can get that. Otherwise, it is as it is. Or the tenants that come through with the long list of everything. Once the offer's been agreed, the contract's been signed, and they ask for that second viewing, always is going to cause you problems because then they know they're taking it. They're going around with their clipboard. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. It's a lot.
Nothing's happening.
It's a lot. But I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Final golden nuggets from Jake Fletcher.
Here we go.
To wrap up the episode. What do you want golden nuggets for landlords, tenants, or agents? Take your pick.
For agents, okay. Golden nuggets. For tenants, no, let's start with agents.
Okay.
We'll do a bit of all of them.
All right.
Agents, it is not selling sunset. I learned that lesson the hard way. It is not. You can't arrive in Dubai, strut down Dubai Marina in your Louboutins, pretending that you're Chriselle Staus. It's not going to work. It's hard work. You need to put in the hundreds of calls, the 3 a.m. leads that come through that you need to answer. There is so much groundwork that you have to become and put in to become a great real estate agent. And then you can strut down the marina in your Louboutins like your Chrishell Strauss. But at the beginning, it is not a holiday. And I think a lot of people think that is that they see Dubai, they've been here on holiday, they've been to O Beach, they've been to all the beach clubs, and they're like, oh my God, I want to live here. And they think real estate is the easiest thing that they can get into to get a visa and stay here. Maybe in other companies. Not with me. You're here to work and you're here to do a job. So expect you're going to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. You're going to have days where you go home and think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I promise you, if you stick it out and you put in that effort, you can get to that financially free part of your life that we all dream of being at. Landlords, I think the biggest advice for them is, like we said, choosing the right agent. There is many agencies in Dubai. There is many agents that are going to call you in Dubai, but make sure that you pick one of a brand that you know, like Engel Völkers, that are global, and that you know that they're going to market your property well, and their intention is not just to have your listing online so that they can run to their manager and say, I've got a listing. No, my agents are putting your listing online to close it and find tenants.
To get it offline.
Because they don't get paid until they've rented your apartment.
Yeah.
So I always say I'd prefer agents to have less listings, but well-priced and good stock, rather than 20 listings that are never going to rent.
Stale, yeah.
And I think for tenants, it is doing that little bit of research, knowing what you want and knowing what you can afford. Don't be trying to get a 300k place for 200k, because that's never going to happen. All you're going to do is waste your time, waste the agent's time, and it's going to delay the process if you're looking as well.
Well, Jake, I want to say thank you for having the first leasing edition.
Taking your virginity.
Taking my virginity. And have I taken your podcast virginity?
You've taken my podcast virginity.
There you go.
There's not many left, but you've taken something.
So thank you for shedding some light on the topic and putting some fun behind it. Because like I said,
it's good. It was always going to be a good one. From that first message that we had on LinkedIn, I knew that it was going to be good.
He was like, I thought you'd never ask.
Literally. I mean, I did think that you'd never ask. I've been following the page for a while, and I've seen some questionable podcasts, not from you, from your guests. And I've always thought we would have such a good conversation.
And we did have such a good
So
conversation.
when you messaged me, that's why I thought you'd never ask, because it was like, is it ever going to happen?
Yeah.
Does she want a good podcast? And here we are. You're watching it right now. Enjoy.
And if you want to come on the show, just reach out to me. I do a bit of outreach.
See,
When I see there's a bit of personality.
I have trust issues, like I said, so I'm scared of rejection. So,
you wouldn't reach out.
Honey, no. I'm going to wait for you to come to me, and then I'll play hard to get a little bit before we get there.
Just like you did, yeah? Thought you'd never ask.
Well, I mean, I jumped at the chance, but anyway, that's a different story.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It was
Thank
banter
you.
in the end. I knew it would be, and a topic that's dear to my heart. Thank you for spreading the word on leasing. Leasing is not just a stepping stone. It's a whole entire career.
It's a whole career that can be a stepping stone to even bigger things, but it is not to be missed or judged or snubbed at, because, honey, a lot of my leasing agents are making a lot more than the sales agents are in Dubai anyway. So I'll leave it there.
I think we'll close on that one. Thank you.